How's it going, everybody? Jay Darko here. 6 o'clock. I've been working since 1 p.m. yesterday. How's it going? Alright, so today I wanted to talk about the pain. I want to talk about specifically pain and the ego. Pain and the ego. Okay? So what are these things individually, independent from each other? Pain, or the way I'm referring to it really, it could be physical pain, physical distress sensations. It could be mental pain, as in quite literal stress. Confusion, chaos. Frustration is more like an emotional pain. If you even want to go hard, like spiritual pain, which is kind of like unexplained pain. There's not an obvious reason. Probably attribute that to spiritual pain, or just deeper reason pain. Okay, and then the ego. How do I define that in this context? We're talking about like the self-image, your self-concept, your identity, so to speak. That's your ego, and that's the way I 9 times out of 10 probably use the word when I'm saying your ego. It's your egoic persona, if you will, that you come up with off of external factors and logical evidence. So that's what I'm referring to as ego. And since that's what your ego is, and let's try to relate that to pain, because that's the point of this. Pain and the ego. When you experience pain, it becomes a memory. You remember it because of the sensations you go through. Typically, it's of more the intense side. Even if it's not that intense, it's more intense than casual experiences, casual sensations. And you classify those usually in 2 departments, either pain or pleasure. And pleasure is a whole nother video that can come in a fucking myriad of fucking ways. That could be stimulation, fulfillment, all that kind of shit. Engagement, physical. That's pleasure. But pain, we discussed all the different kinds of pain. How does that affect you and your ego? Well, when you experience it, we have the tendency to, in a attempt to logicize our suffering and to kind of lighten the burden it has on maybe if you have a lot of trauma, lighten the burden it has on how we interpret ourselves, how we view ourselves. We'll do things like, we'll do things like comparing pain to other pain or previous pains, and then using that to rationalize why that makes you a better person. That's a huge one. I'm very guilty of that myself. Or we'll do things like using pain to say, I went through all this, that's why I'm better, and that's why things will get easier in the future. So you're projecting future events will be easier because you've been through all this pain. Essentially thinking that you going through pain will make going through pain easier, and that you'll never have to go through pain again. You're trying to eradicate pain through the ego itself, saying, I am better, and I will eradicate pain because I am better than pain. When in reality, pain is always going to exist, and it's always going to be the same sensation. That's why it makes it pain. You can't get rid of pain. Trying to get rid of uncomfortable sensations. They're uncomfortable for a reason, all within a context, and then you could numb yourself out to it, but it's not even me. I've desensitized myself quite a bit. It's pros and cons to it. It's not like you just don't feel this shit. You're not really desensitizing the sensation itself. You're desensitizing your reaction to it more than anything. So you still feel it. Yeah, you definitely still feel it. You're just desensitizing more or less when you do it the right way. This is even if you kid it down the right way. The wrong way to desensitize yourself is just to go full apathy, full indifference, just no kind of like thought or like care put into it. You're just kind of like doing whatever and saying I don't give a fuck. Really, you're doing it through the ego. Like you're just saying like I don't give a fuck, and it doesn't hurt. You're just telling yourself it doesn't hurt when it clearly does. You're creating an incongruency because it does hurt and you're not admitting it, which means you're not accepting it, it's very small at first. Like that really doesn't matter when you initially do it, but over time it builds up and up to a lack of congruence, a lack of integrity within yourself. But over time, if you do it the right way and desensitize yourself and not numb yourself, that's what you don't want to do. But if you progressively desensitize your reactions, essentially all you're doing is you're able to withstand the chaos. And usually when people go through extreme sensations, their brain shuts off. And for the most part, that's the entire ordeal. Like you're never going to desensitize yourself where your brain doesn't shut off, and you don't want to. Trust me, you don't want to. Like you don't want to be in control of your heart beating. It takes up so much mental capacity to do that. It would. So, but when you desensitize yourself, you have a high degree of control. And there are cons to that. It takes more energy to do simple things. You could do it better, but it takes more energy. That's what people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand when it comes to this self-improvement thing, I guess, or whatever the fuck, like trying to take control of your life. It's not like you just take control and things just fucking float on. To get more control of your life requires more energy. And if you don't have the energy now to expend, to change your life a little bit, what makes you think once you have what you have, you're going to have the energy to keep what you get or even get there in the first place? Like, there's energy that goes into all these things. And it's different kind of energy, too. Sometimes it's not like just fucking grinding, hustling energy. Sometimes it's strong mental, decision-making, emotional, risk, capacity energy that you have to exercise. A lot of people don't account for that. And most people go in head first and then they just adapt and acclimate. But the thing is, like, that's cool, that would be fine, but then they develop this massive ego in order to soothe the pain, as we do. This is like the number one correlation, I'm pretty sure, within humans, is like pain happens and then we attribute it to our ego. We amass this ego, and once we have what we have, we then, instead of using the energy in a synergetic way or the momentum to continue the snowball effect rolling downhill, we use our ego to have this kind of safeguard effect, rather, like where we're like trying to trap what we have and like hide it, keep it while showcasing it, like without losing it, and just attributing everything to ourselves, taking credit for everything that we're not even sure if it was really us. And it really is like snow. It'll melt. It's the things you obtain in life, they're like water. They go through all three stages of matter. It can be solid, but you could assume that it's going to melt eventually. Unless you live in a very cold environment, spiritual environment, where things stay very solid. But any amount of heat will let it, it will start to melt over time. And then with enough heat, it'll fucking just evaporate. Yeah. I don't know, it's a weird example, but bear with me here. It's not literal, but there are comparisons to be drawn, like with these situations, with the tangible things. I think with the states of matter and tangibility, there's a lot to be attributed, like they're kind of similar. But whatever. And then our ego shattered, and then we no longer have an identity. And really, that's, I think, more than anything, what we want is we want to have an identity where we can allow ourselves to feel good in comparison to everyone else, depending on how much we care on what everyone else thinks, how much our beliefs are influenced by the world and the people around us and the beliefs around us. Because if we're being honest, I used to go out. I mean, it's only been like a week since I have stopped going out for financial, like, emergency reasons. But before that, I've gone out for like 2 years in a row without missing a night. And I've spent an inordinate amount of time just fucking talking to people. And like observing and like not just talking, but like really like researching them in the creepiest, non-creepiest way, but kind of still creepy way possible. And really, one of the number one takeaways I've gotten from that is, I do plan to go out again. Just so you know, it's not like, oh, I did this, now I'm established. No, like I just love doing that in general. It's great for expanding your mind. Number one thing I fucking notice about people is we're just walking beliefs. Like, our beliefs dictate so much about us, whether they're intentional beliefs or unintentional beliefs. Our beliefs and values, that's all we are. We just walk around. Everyone's a goddamn zealot, trust me. You put someone in the right situation, they'll fight like they're a fucking UFC champion. They'll show amounts of heart that should not be normal in a normal person. That is not actually that rare. That's not rare. What's rare is having a belief system that allows them to showcase that and be vulnerable, like, consistently in this environment. That's rare. That is extremely rare. And then we say, like, oh, that person's got heart. No, the context, the circumstances they allow themselves to behave in that way is a lot more common than most. So you think about it like that. Everyone's really just a walking can of beliefs. And there's no right or wrong beliefs. There are beliefs that work within the context of society, and there are beliefs that work against society. And then there's strength of beliefs, intensity, influences, the nuance of beliefs, the flexibility of beliefs, and how appealing beliefs are for a number of factors based off of tangible evidence. The ego of the beliefs itself is the material evidence or the subjective evidence. So, if you ever want to create something from nothing, the only way to do it is through people. It's the only way to, if you want to create true alchemy, you want to turn fucking air to gold, it's through people. Because reality is not tangible with people, but it can be. If enough people believe something, they will make it a reality. And that's that's kind of the caveat of consciousness as far as humans go, as far as I can tell. Or even animals, for that matter of fact. Basic ones, primitive animals. Behavior. We interface with reality not right on the same plane, but like adjacent to it. So since we interface with reality like adjacent, we can disconnect from like objective, like physical reality, and then pop back up, take something, and then dip right out. Because we don't have to. I'm not like, and don't get this twist. I'm not saying like the Matrix, like, oh, let's disappear from reality. Whoosh, like I'm not here, like, whoosh, I'm not here anymore. Back in, like, no. I'm saying like, as far as as much as we engage, our behavior is not static. It's subject to change based on very arbitrary, minimal, pointless reasons. What we believe goes. But the only caveat, what is it called? The fucking the catch-22 is we could believe anything. And we all think we're fucking smart somewhere deep down. Even if you think you're stupid, you think you're smart because you think you're calling yourself stupid. That's what I mean by you think you're smart. Like, everyone thinks they're fucking smart. Everyone thinks they're smart. Like, even the person that's dumb thinks they're smart because they're calling themselves dumb. Like, oh yeah, I'm a fool because I'm wise. Like, the wise thing for me to think is that I'm a fool. Everyone thinks they're certain. Everyone thinks they've got a grasp on what the fuck, A, what they are, B, what the world is, and B, what the fuck they deserve. Everyone thinks they have somewhat of a grasp and they have something to expect. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Everyone has it. You have to have it. You would not be a functioning person. You cannot function correctly unless you have some form of that down. You learn that from like a baby to have that. Shit, you're born with it probably. But everyone thinks they're smart. So when beliefs go undetected, and it's okay, you can let beliefs go undetected. It's fine. It's fine if a belief catches on to you. You don't have to fucking be like a hawk and vigilante, like vigilance on every belief that passes through. You can just set a filtering system naturally for the beliefs that you want. It's called having values. And the other flip side of having values is that you have to live up to your values for them to actually mean something. But whatever. So beliefs catch on. Once your beliefs catch on, or someone else's beliefs catch on, you'll start to act to reinforce those beliefs, the reality, the perception, the way you think the world is. You're going to start doing things to match that, subconsciously and consciously. You don't even have to do it consciously, but you will do it subconsciously regardless. Because it's just your assumptions, because everything you have in this world is an assumption. Some of them are very accurate assumptions that will get you repeated results. Some of those people call those things facts, but as the world changes, so will the facts. So really, it's just a very good assumption. But you're going to act on these assumptions over and over and over again. An assumption is something that you don't even fucking think about. You assume it. Like, assuming. Like, you could, a strong assumption at least, is something that you don't think about. You just do it and you expect a certain response, a certain interaction to happen. When you walk,